Call of Duty is an absolute juggernaut in the gaming industry. I'm willing to bet that a large majority of people watching this video, let alone on the planet as a whole, have at the very least heard of the franchise. The franchise that has been producing COD game after COD game for the past decade plus has gotten a mixed bag of reception depending on the game. Some games in the franchise are deemed as the definition of what a Call of Duty game should aspire to be, while others are seen as mediocre. Then we get to the bottom of the barrel that COD fans have deemed as the worst of the bunch, either because the game was in general not built very well, the fact that it aged very poorly, or in some cases, both. Regardless of your stance on the games in the series, one thing that we can collectively agree on is that Call of Duty has been making innovations and attempting new things with different game modes, entire new mechanics, and more to varying degrees of success or failure. The thing that a Call of Duty did 90% of the time is either praised to the heavens or condemned and set on fire. Rarely, however, is something forgotten about entirely. Remaining on the topic of things COD has done being forgotten about entirely, I want to take us back to the time when the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 were right around the corner, and deemed as the next generation of consoles at the time. Not only was the console war about to enter another stage in its long and bloody conflict, but a new Call of Duty game was about to launch as well, and would prove to be not exactly what fans were looking for. Call of Duty Ghosts.
No!
Call of Duty Ghosts sits in this weird spot in terms of being defined as either a good or a bad game. It's a mixed bag. That's the best way that I can describe it. On the one hand, it's nowhere close to something like COD 4 or MW2, but at the same time, we're not boosting around in jetpack exosuits flying to the stratosphere in gingerbread costumes that we got from a rancid microtransaction system. Don't get me wrong, in my opinion, Ghost does more things wrong than right, but the things the game has done right, whether done by it being a part of the core gameplay experience or from it having aged well, cannot be understated. Despite this though, I gotta be honest, I do have a bit of a soft spot for Ghosts.
You what?
Because it did try to innovate and add new things to the formula that weren't completely asinine. Extinction mode, for example. I know that a large majority of the player base did not like this mode, seeing it as an inferior version of Call of Duty Zombies mode. Personally, however, I enjoyed it. I would say that it's not as good as Zombies, but I enjoyed what was served in this mode. The map packs that came with the game after launch, while not being anything to write home about, were cool in their own ways. The different ways a map could be altered from a field order, folks such as Michael Myers or the Predator making their way into this game, the different weapons such as the Ripper and Maverick, etc. I recognize that there are much better Call of Duty games out there, but with Ghosts, again, I do have a soft spot for it. Although I do acknowledge the game's many flaws, such as its maps being way too large. Like what the heck were the devs thinking when making Stonehenge? The guard dog having triple the health of a human soldier, IEDs, the pizza delivery box that was the SATCOM, the campaign mode being misleading in its marketing along with that impossible ending, and more. Okay, feelings for Call of Duty Ghosts aside, why did I bring up the topic of something that COD has done being forgotten about entirely, while also making this video's emphasis be about Ghosts? Because Ghosts included an entire mode that I have not seen discussed by anyone in the COD community for years ever since it launched with the game. And in this video, I want to talk about it. I want to discuss what this mode was, why it was forgotten, and if it should make a return at all. Let me introduce you to Call of Duty Ghosts Squads mode. Now, if you're someone who went, wait, what the heck is Squads mode? This is why this video exists. The only kinds of YouTube videos, articles on the web, or any other sort of media discussing this game mode was right around the time Ghosts was set to release, and even then, there wasn't a whole lot talked about. When the game launched, aside from a handful of YouTube videos that were published showing gameplay and tips on the mode, Squads mode fell into the shadows and stayed there. The latest mention of Squads mode was from the Actman's video on why Ghosts was hated and bad, and even then, the game's mentioning lasted for only a few seconds.
There was a squad mode, which allowed you to create loadouts for bots, set them against each other. That's weird, who cares?
As someone who played Ghost during its prime time, I can also attest to how forgetful the mode was. I cannot recall any experience with the mode before playing around with it as of late for this video. So, what exactly is Squads mode? There has to be a reason why it fell into so much obscurity, right? Let's start from the very beginning. What exactly is Squads mode? Well, in order for me to be able to explain this mode, we have to talk about the game's online multiplayer for a little bit, as this mode was very integral to the game's multiplayer due to how the progression system worked in this game. In Call of Duty Ghosts, rather than having leveling up be the determining factor of earning weapons and perks, squad points were introduced to give players creative freedom in how they wanted to progress in the game. This, of course, caused an issue where players would immediately unlock the best items in the game with their points and not unlock anything else unless if it was just for the heck of it. However, these squad points could also be used to purchase additional squad mates. Rather than the traditional multiplayer progression system of reaching max rank and prestiging, in Ghosts you have 10 squad mates to level up. Once you reach max rank on one squad mate, that's considered first prestige. Once you max out a second squad mate, you're on to second prestige, and so on. This ended up dumbing down the overall prestige system since nothing was really lost when you quote-unquote prestiged. You didn't have to re-unlock everything like you would have in other COD games since each item was unlocked through the squad point system as opposed to rank in this game. Once you max out your 10th squad mate, that would be considered 10th prestige and thus having reached the highest rank possible in the game. So what does Squads mode have to do with this? Squads mode takes the squad mates that you have in multiplayer and the items that you have unlocked into its own separate mode. The two modes were designed to work together in progression. In theory, you could rank up and unlock items in Squads mode. However, it was a lot less effective when compared to the game's actual multiplayer. Squads mode was designed to let you see the hard work of grinding the game's multiplayer go to work in its own mode. In online multiplayer, you can only play as one squad mate at a time. In Squads, it's you and the other members from your squad mates you choose to fight together and win instead of other players online. Depending on the map and mode, you can customize your squad's loadouts with their own weapons, attachments, lethal and tactical equipment, perks, and point streaks. You still have total freedom over create a class even when these loadouts will be used by the AI. There were a total of 4 different modes that you could play in Squads mode. Safeguard, which is for you and 3 other of your friends, no squad mates from your squad can join this mode oddly enough, pitted in a survival game mode where you must fend off against enemies for 20 waves, 40 waves, or for as long as you can with the infinite mode. Squad Assault is when you and 5 others from your squad go up against another player's squad, but with a twist. The defender, the one being forced into the engagement, has what's called a Squad HQ, where they choose not only the map to fight on, but also the game mode, which adds not only a layer of strategy to the defender, but also the attacker, as they know this when going into it. A perk with Squad Assault in particular is that you can earn extra XP outside of playing the game for every defense win you get in this mode, meaning if another player attacks your squad and fails, you'd get extra XP for your squad's good performance. Wargame, which has you and your squad fighting against an enemy team composed entirely of AI in various maps and modes to replicate the full multiplayer experience, just with bots. So, multiplayer, but with AI. And lastly, Squad vs. Squad, which is the ultimate test of one's squad. It's you and your squad versus another player and their squad, going at it on the fields of battle. Now, if you've ever seen or played against bots, you know that they can be pretty dumb. In Squads mode, a new AI system was introduced into the program to make the bots act like real players for this mode. And I do have to be honest here, the AI does act like real players. Snipers stay back, SMG folks try to get up close and personal, they all play the objective, they react to things like ally deaths and reload queues instead of just line of sight or upon taking damage, and on occasion, I've seen my ally bots call in streaks of their own, even some of the higher tier ones.
SATCOM uplink enabled. SATCOM ready. Friendly rocket inbound. Kill confirmed. Guard dog ready. Kill confirmed. Kill confirmed. Friendly Trinity rocket inbound. Friendly Salvo inbound. Target obliterated. Target down. Friendly chopper inbound. Guard dog ready. Enemy has C.
Even with a plentiful amount of COD games having been launched since Ghost's AI is the most advanced AI that I have seen when it comes to Call of Duty bots. For a lack of a better term, Squads mode in Ghosts is basically the game's multiplayer, but with a heavier emphasis on the AI. It's a mode that's designed to let the squad mates that you've acquired charge out onto the fields of battle with the weapons and tools that you've unlocked in hand to see which player has the better squad. This game mode was not designed to replace the game's multiplayer, rather, it was designed to be its own mode with the objectives that I laid out just a few seconds ago in mind. Even with that mindset though, Squads mode did not do well. Not because it was particularly bashed by the COD community, but just because hardly anyone cared. That's the main reason why Squads mode failed. Nobody could be bothered to play the game mode because there wasn't enough of an incentive to do so. Too many folks went straight for the game's online multiplayer where they could play against real people, where they could play with their friends, where they could have a great time. The average Call of Duty player doesn't dive into the game thinking, I can't wait to play alongside AI. They go into it thinking,
when is Hubert getting on? He said he would be on at 5. It is 5:03. We are wasting the weekend away. Come on, dude!
Followed by Hubert getting on and the two friends playing together, talking about the week, talking about plans for next week, exchanging stories, all that good stuff. It simply comes down to the fact that the average COD player hops onto the game to play with their friends, not to play with the AI. That, and there was not enough of an incentive to play Squads mode for an extended period of time. At best, people saw it as a one-off mode that they tried for a day and then left it to the wayside. So, with all of this having been said, is there a future for this mode in any way, shape, or form? If you count bots being added into every COD game since, that's about as future-y of a future that Squads mode has. The whole reason why Squads mode was put into the game was because of that game's online multiplayer progression system of you having 10 different soldiers that represented your prestige levels upon maxing them out. Squads was truly tied to this game's progression system, and without the multiplayer progression being individual squad mates again, it would be pretty difficult to find a compelling reason to bring this mode back. There hasn't been any bragging about the bots in the COD game since, there hasn't been any dedicated game modes for them since, and in general, Squads mode was left to rot with no real reason for it to be brought back, cherished by only a handful of people. Should Squads mode be brought back? If Treyarch, Sledgehammer, or Infinity Ward can somehow add incentives to play the mode while also adding more content to what could essentially be called a failed prototype that Ghosts made, then there might be a reason to want it back. Even then though, the majority of people will still want to play with their friends on actual online multiplayer as opposed to alongside AI-controlled bots. There's just so much more substance when playing with actual people, especially people who are your friends. If they could somehow personalize the bots to be more relatable or more interactable, then that might solve the issue a tiny bit, but that wouldn't solve the problem entirely. Despite the negative tone this video has towards Squads mode, I do see the appeal that the handful of folks who enjoy this mode see. It feels refreshing to try the game out in a new fashion, to participate in a multiplayer match that actually feels like a real match, outside of cranking the bots to veteran difficulty on local multiplayer, to see Call of Duty's multiplayer AI cranked up to a level never before seen where they can actually get things done. I feel like there could be potential to bring this mode back so long as the mode is able to accomplish this major goal. Somehow including a player and their friends into this mode. With how much more powerful consoles are becoming, this has led to Call of Duty expanding the battlefield to, well, battlefield-sized maps. If there could be a way to have one player and their squad team up with one of their friends in their squad, or multiple people in their squads into this one mode, this is when the Squads mode could pick up some momentum and actually go somewhere. Imagine you and, say, 9 other bots that are part of your squad and 2 other friends in their squads, resulting in a 30v30 situation. There can be opportunities to include team play, where one squad goes to take out an objective while the other squad goes to provide cover fire for them. I mean, these are just ideas that I'm coming up with as I'm writing this script. But there can always be ways to innovate this mode if squads mode is able to include the player and their friends in a more meaningful manner. If the developers can find a way to have players and their friends join in instead of being restricted to fighting alongside and against only bots, that is when the possibility of squads mode coming back could be brought back to the table with an actual fighting chance. However, seeing as how squads mode was received poorly, and seeing as how it's been a little over 7 years since Ghost launched and nothing resembling squads mode has returned, if it is going to return at some point, it'll probably be a little while longer before it does. Nowadays in COD games, bots are largely used to either test out new weapons or to serve as training dummies for people either brand new to COD, brand new to first-person shooters, or for folks who need a quick refresh on how the game plays. To have a mode that has players actively wanting to fight alongside and against bots for an extended period of time while also playing with their friends would be an astounding feat to accomplish. However, we have yet to see it, and for Call of Duty anyway, based on the lack of any fanfare, I don't think we ever will. Even as someone who sees the appeal in this mode, realistically speaking, the chances of this mode coming back are slim to none. I could very well be proven wrong though. This video could age poorly as a result, to which all the more power to whichever developer manages this if they do, a developer of COD games or developer of something else entirely. But for the foreseeable future, the folks that I'll trust to have my back in COD games are my living, breathing, feeling friends who trust me with having their backs in return. Wow, I somehow got that joke out with a straight face. And that brings us to the end of this video, everyone. What do you think of Call of Duty Ghost Squads mode? Did you get a chance to play it during Ghost Prime time? If so, let me know your experience in the comments below. Do you think that Squads mode should be brought back? Do you think that it should just stay within the ashes and dust and darkness of ghosts, I guess? Let me know. Let's get a little good old discussion going on in the comments down below there. With that being said, though, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, and if you really want to, you can hit that subscribe button and be sure to click that bell icon to receive all notifications for future uploads. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and peace out, everyone.